Hello everybody, thanks so much for joining me today for Kineo Totara office hours. Today we are doing a client request question that we are answering. I encourage you to do the same. Send me any of your ideas, thoughts, things you've been wondering about, stuff you're trying to do on your site and you can't quite figure out how to do it. Any of those things. Send that to me and it will become part of our list. So this is now like the second one we've done in a row, because I have someone who keeps giving me awesome ideas, which is really helpful, and we appreciate that. So definitely send us over any ideas that you may have, and we will happily add those to the list. My name is Taylor Craig. I am the Platforms Consultant here at Kineo. Actually, I'm one of the Platforms Consultants here at Kineo, and my job entails training and working very closely with our solution architects. So I work with our solution architects when you come on board to make sure you're trained on your solution and make sure you're comfortable with that, especially if you have any customizations, anything like that. We want to make sure that you understand those customizations, and that's where I come in. So I do that. I also do some office hours stuff. I do a variety of different things around here. I wear quite a few different hats. So that's a little bit about myself. A little bit about office hours if you're not familiar with it already. Basically what we do is we do about a 15-20 minute presentation over anything Totara. I think last week Tammy did an awesome presentation on Totara version 9, which is right around the corner. We're actually about to roll out our first implementation of that. So Totara 9 is on the horizon. You'll be seeing a lot more stuff geared towards Totara 9 in the future. So something to keep in mind and be excited about. We also put the feature presentation recording, we put that on YouTube. So that's the only part that we put on YouTube. The rest of the session, which is about another 45 minutes, that's for you guys, for our clients only. So we have that available for you guys for Q&A time. However, if you do want the entire recording, let me know. I'm glad to send you that. I do record the whole session, so if you need, if I happen to answer a question that you need to pass along to someone else, I will gladly send you the recording. So today what we're talking about is the feedback module. This particular module, we don't see it used just a whole lot. We get a lot of questions on it, though. So we're going to take a look at that as far as how it works. How exactly do you get people to use it? I've got a couple of tips and tricks up my sleeve that may help you as far as getting people to use it and encouraging people to use it, kind of sort of forcing people to use it if you need that feedback inside of your system. And then we'll talk about the report that is associated with feedback. I'll also point you in the direction of some documentation that might help as far as where can I go to get additional help or support on this particular module. Okay, so without further ado, let's get this party started. I have like 9 tabs open at any given time, so forgive me. All right, guys, so I'm going to go into one of my courses that I have on my demo site, and it's a new employee onboarding course. It's just an example course, so a lot of this stuff is just placeholders, but just to kind of give you an idea of what a course may look like. When you have courses in here, you've got things like resources, things people need. Then you have maybe some forums and some quizzes, different things that you want people to do, right? And then once that course is over, you typically want some feedback from those individuals. You may want to know, how did your in-person trainer do? Was that person knowledgeable? Did they do a good job? Blah, 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 that kind of stuff. You may want to get some feedback about your online content. Was it helpful? Was it really boring? All that good stuff. So those are the things that you want to get from your learners. So typically what we see is we see that feedback module a lot of times located down towards the bottom of the course because that's going to be kind of the end of the course, right? And if you don't kind of put some incentive around it, people tend to skip it and don't really care that it's there and probably won't give you feedback. So one of the things to keep in mind is utilize other tools in the system to your advantage. So you do have the ability to restrict access to different things. You also have the ability to track course completion. So if you'll remember to your early days of Totara training, everything inside the system revolves around course completion, right? So if you make your course completion dependent on that evaluation, they have to take it. So that's something to keep in mind. You can do it as far as through course completion. And then you can also do things like this, like we've got a completion certificate where you're giving them a little more incentive to maybe receive an actual certificate. Certificate is a standard module that's part of the system as well. And you can give them a certificate, but they can't get it until they complete that evaluation. Now, I've also seen people set their entire course completion based on this certificate. So that's something to keep in mind. That's something to just be aware of. So lots of different places where you can do these things. So let's take a look at kind of what those settings might look like. I'm going to turn my editing on. And I just want to show you quite a few of the different places where you can do stuff. So first things first, you need to say that how they can complete that course evaluation or that feedback module. You need to tell Totara, okay, this is what makes this particular module complete, and then you can set all these nifty little restrictions around it. So inside of the feedback module, we're going to go in and take a look at the settings here. Couple of things that you can do with the settings. So you do actually have the ability to make this generate a grade. Basically what it's going to do is it's going to generate a 0 or a 100. If they completed it, they get 100. If they didn't, they get a 0. So that's something to keep in mind. So then you can actually set maybe even a grade to pass. I don't know if I've talked about that in the future or in the past with office hours. But you could potentially set a grade to pass. That grade to pass, of course, would be 100 because they can only get a 0 or a 100. And then you can say that they had to have passed it before they could continue. So that's one way. Not the only way, though. What we're going to take a look at here is the activity completion. I've already had some folks run through this, so I'm going to unlock completion and keep data. I don't want to lose any of my test data that I've got in here. But I do want to show you my different options. So you have completion tracking, show as complete when conditions are met. Student must view it to complete it. Okay, that's fine, but they're still not doing it, right? So view as complete if the feedback is submitted. That's probably going to be the one that you're going to be most interested in, is utilizing that particular option. Because at that point, once they submit that feedback, then you can actually trigger a series of events based on them actually doing something more than viewing. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to save and return to my course. So once we've told the system, okay, they have to have completed it by submitting, then we can do a couple of other things. We can set restrictions. So you can set restrictions on particular activities or resources. So in this case, we've gone into the settings of this certificate. And underneath restrict access, we've come in and we've said course evaluation must be marked complete. So they have to meet that criteria, right? So that's one way of doing it. You can also set restrictions based on topics. A lot of people forget that this is here, but each topic you also have the ability to add restrictions at that area if you need to. I'm using the activity completion restriction so that I can choose my course evaluation. Okay, so that's another option that you have there. And then also you have in your total course completion settings, again, I'm going to unlock without deleting because I don't want to get rid of any of my stuff. But I've got this course completion set on a whole bunch of other stuff. And actually I included the feedback in that. And that could be enough. You could actually set your entire course completion on just the feedback, or you could set it on just the certificate. We've had lots of clients do that where really all they care about is that they get to that certificate and they restrict access to that certificate based on everything else in the course. And so once they get to that certificate, they obviously had to have met all the criteria above. Okay. Also makes it a little easier for you to manage moving forward as far as keeping track of all the completions and all of that jazz. Because sometimes you can end up with a bunch of completions in there and drive yourself crazy. Okay, so just something to keep in mind. So you can come in here and you can alter those particular options as far as your course completion. So that's going to be kind of how you get people to do it, how you get them to participate and actively work inside of that feedback module. Okay, just some things to point out about the feedback module. Let's actually take a look at the module itself. So I'm going to click into it. A couple of things that you can do here. You can edit questions, so you can add in a variety of different question types. You do actually have the ability to make some dependent questions as well, meaning if you say, who was your trainer, Taylor or Tammy? And they pick Taylor. Then you can ask a series of questions about me specifically if you wanted to do that. So you do have the ability to do that. It's not going to be super complex. It's not going to be super dynamic as you might find with other tools like SurveyMonkey or SurveyGizmo, but it gets the job done. So there is a way to do that. I will point out the documentation where you can find to do that. It's pretty easy, but you have to add in a page break. So you do have to utilize your page breaks and utilize those effectively. Okay, so these are all the different question types that you have the ability to add in. You can edit these, you can make questions required, you can also do rating scales, all of that good stuff. Now you do have the ability to create templates. I've not used templates a whole lot personally, but I did get in there and kind of play around with them just so I could speak logically about them today. But you have two options for templates. You can do course level templates or you can do public templates. So if you create a public template, then that means that anywhere where you create a feedback module, you can use those questions. Again, from what I can tell, the questions don't interfere with one another. It is a course-by-course data representation. So it's not going to be, so if you use the feedback and then you use the same one in another course, you're not going to get skewed data or mixed data. Now if you're wanting data that is mixed, so you're wanting to pull the exact same data all the way across the board, in that case you need to probably think about utilizing another tool that allows you to do those types of things. Okay, so something to keep in mind and just be aware of. So you can make public templates, you can do course level templates, so you can basically use the same questions over and over in the same course. So you have the ability to do that. You also have the ability to see the analysis that comes with this. So you'll see here, who did you work with? Whitney, Taylor, Susan, Justin. These are the individuals who you may have worked with. You see that more people have worked with Susan than they've worked with me. So we're seeing that information here. You see the ratings that were provided, and you see the different answers that they gave. Now, keep in mind, this particular one is an anonymous feedback, meaning that nobody can tell who said what. It's all anonymous, so even the admin can't see who the individual was that selected this. Okay. Now you can export that to Excel. So I've already exported it out, and we can take a look and see what we're seeing here. It's basically the same exact data and provided just in a different little format there. Okay. And then you can edit it and rearrange and all that good stuff. You do have the ability also to come over here and show responses on a one-off basis. So if you want to see each of the responses, you do have the ability to come in and see them individually. So that's, you should, let's see, there, show responses. I clicked the wrong button. There we go. So here you'll see that we've got 8 total responses, and we can look at them individually. Okay, this may not be as helpful unless you're utilizing I just had a brain lapse. Unless you're utilizing something where you actually can see the individual's names. That's what I was going for. So it may not be as helpful there, but just something to keep in mind. Okay. So that's going to be kind of what you get with your feedback module here. Let's take a look at the report that does come with this. So the report that goes along with feedback, that is going to be, it is one of the Totara reports. It is at the system level. A lot of times people kind of go, oh, we were hoping for more. So just kind of be aware. So I'm going to manage my report. It's still pretty helpful though. So I can come in here go to my feedback report. I know I have one because I was looking at it earlier. This is what happens when your site gets cluttered. Okay, so in this report, what I'm able to see who has completed the report. I am able to see the course name of the course, the evaluation, and the time that it was completed. Okay, now keep in mind if one of these was an anonymous feedback module, I'm not necessarily going to know which one was Aaron's, but I would know that he did submit it, okay, at some point. So basically I can click on the course, and then I can locate that feedback module, go in, and we can look at the same results we just looked at a moment ago. So that's something to keep in mind and be aware of. Let's take a quick peek at where you can find some documentation. Where can you help yourself locate a little more information here on these tools? So first place I'm going to say to look is going to be Moodle.org. Feedback is by standard default, it is a Moodle plugin. Okay, so you're going to have the majority of your information is probably going to be located at Moodle.org. It's going to give you some pretty detailed info as far as how to create those questions that are dependent, all of that good stuff. Go to Moodle.org, search feedback, make sure you're looking at the right version. If you're on 2.7, make sure you're looking at 2.7. If you're on 2.9, make sure you're looking at 2.6. You can always change the number up here. I think I've shown you guys that trick before, and it will take you to the appropriate version of the documentation that you're looking at. Okay, so if you keep that one thing in mind. You also do have some help at Totara help. So let me pull that one across. So if you come to help.totaralearning.com, locate your version, and I just typed in feedback. Keep in mind, don't get this confused with 360 feedback. That is a different part of the system. So clicking on feedback here, this should give you a lot of good information as well. And then you can also come down and go to your reports, so your report sources, and then locate the feedback summary report source, and this will give you some basic information as far as the report is concerned as well. Okay, all right guys, so I am going to now turn it over to you. I've already been seeing some questions popping through, and we'll turn it over to you guys for questions.